Hello, everybody. Welcome to ProbateData Powergym. My name is Jonathan. I will be with you today for the next 30 minutes. What's up, Charmaine? Hi, Jim. Hi, Dan. Welcome.
Hello.
Let's see here. Jennifer Turner is here. Rosemary, Sharon, Joey, Charla, Roger's in the house. Randy Bandy. Always good to have you here. All right. Let's see. Okay. So today we're going to do open house, not open house, open forum. Open house is something else. That's something you guys, some of you are doing more of these days, some of you not, depending what state you live in and what county and what the regulations and rules are. But let's just pretend like we're doing open house, I guess. Well, ask me anything, buy anything, sell it. I don't care. So for those of you that are brand new to ProbateData, welcome. This is your first time on ProbateData Powergym. Here's what usually happens. We do a quick overview of ProbateData and how to get your data. You should have gotten something in your email inbox the day you sign up, like within the day or less. You should have gotten a welcome email, and then there's also an email with your leads that up to the 3 counties that you subscribe to. And you get those whenever we upload data to the platform. You can also log into ProbateData.com with your login and password and download an additional 100 cases per month per billing period. So you have 2 ways of getting access to data. What we're going to do today, this is the ProbateData Powergym. They're designed to be quick and get you in and out what you need. They're 30 minutes in length. And usually what I'll do is I'll do a little tour, or I'll do a quick overview, and then I'll do a deep dive into a specific type of search, and I'll take questions. But what we're going to do today, because we've done a lot of those in the last 5-6 weeks, we're going to do an open forum. I said open house before, but you know what I mean. This means you can ask anything related to probate real estate, probate data. And you can ask us anything. So this is a good time to put in the chat. Just ask whatever the question is. Here's a good one from Jennifer Turner. We'll start with that one. Thanks for starting us off, Jennifer. If the data report doesn't have an address for the deceased, does that mean there's no property to sell? No, it does not. So Jennifer, what state and county are you in? Just put that in the chat. I'm guessing it's either Arizona or, oh, you're in Collin. Okay, Collin, Texas. So some counties within Texas don't provide all the data. They don't disclose the information from the deceased. So what you got to do is look up the tax records, property tax records for the deceased, and then see if there's any property taxes been paid. Then you know that they had a property, and then you can kind of reverse engineer from there. So what a lot of agents do is they get all their data down from ProbateData, and then they do the lookup for property tax records, and they have a second set of data, and then from there they start prospecting. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it, and this is Mike Torres's favorite way to do it, is just call and assume there's property, and asking a simple question. He usually calls up, he says, hi, just wondering, I mean, there's an intro and all that, but the crux of the question is, have you decided if you want to rent out or sell the property? And one of 2 questions are going to happen. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no property. There's no real estate. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. And you move on. Or they might say, well, we don't know. We don't know. Then you know there's property. And then you start talking to them about that and what their best options are. So those are your 2 ways to work with cases that don't have an address of the decedent inside the case information. Most of the data has property information across the board of 85 counties that we're in. There's probably 4 or 5 that doesn't have the property information. So if you just joined us, we didn't do an open forum today. Did we do open forum last week too? No, right? That was on UPLC. That was something else. I'm getting my webinars confused, guys. If we did open forum last week, just let me know and we'll do something else. I want to make sure you guys get value of it. This isn't going to be a Groundhog Day for you guys. It's okay if it's a Groundhog Day for me, but not for you guys. All right, open forum, ask any question related to probate data, probate real estate, looking up information, finding phone numbers, making phone calls, sending letters, scrubbing data, downloading data. Ask me anything. This is your time. Hi, Clara. This is your time.
Hi, it's my first time joining.
Hi, Elaine, welcome.
Hi. I just have a question. How do I get the list? Because I didn't get it yet. I'm
Okay,
new on the program.
sure. Which county again?
Florida, Palm Beach County.
Palm Beach County. Okay. So you should have gotten an email. When did you sign up? Last week or this week?
Yeah, last week.
Okay. All right. So you should have gotten an email. Check your email inbox and your spam and all that. But if you still haven't got an email that says here are your leads and you can download them, then email support@probatedata.com. I can't really get into your account right now because it would take me a moment or two. But I would recommend you check all your folders. Sometimes we end up in the junk
Yeah, I
folder.
forgot that. Hold on.
Yeah. Because it's an automatically generated email. So check there.
Yeah.
And if it's not there, email support@probatedata and say, hey, I didn't get my welcome Probate Data welcome email with leads. And it will get it out to you right away.
All right. Thank you.
What besides Palm Beach, what other counties do you subscribe to?
I would say Broward, but I
Broward?
want to stay. Yeah, I want to stay.
Okay. Got it. All right. Well, those are good counties. There's a lot of action there. You'll be getting a lot of action there.
Hi,
Okay.
Jonathan.
Yeah. Who's
Jonathan?
next? Yeah.
Hi, Jonathan. This is Charla. Hi. The question I have is, if we're not using the, I forget what you called it, but it was the $1,000 a year or whatever for the marketing material. What is the best way to get some of that? I know I've managed to make a 7-page ebook and some of the letters. But what's the best way to come up with some of that marketing material on my own?
I love that question. That's great. What are some marketing materials you can come up with? So in your class, for those of you that took CPRES, so most of you took CPRES, some of you haven't taken CPRES, you're financial advisors and you're not real estate agents. But for most of you that are real estate agents, you took CPRES. There is in the course on section 6, there's a whole thing on marketing material there. So that's your starting point. Use whatever's in there. There's different types of letters. There's different ideas. There's trifolds. There's things you can do there. The other thing you can do is you can also read through the manual and then basically see what the timeline is for the PR, so the petitioner. So if you look at the timeline, you can use that timeline and use that as a marketing material as well. Another thing you can do is you could just Google the biggest challenges that an executor or administrator goes through when settling probate. I'm sure there's an article written on that, or there's something that's been written on that. And if it's a blog post or anything like that, you can just contact that person, say, is it okay if I send traffic your way? Most people will say yes. And then you can refer to that article. You can refer to that and say, hey, this is an interesting article that might affect you when you're settling this estate. So those are different ways. But at the end of the day, there's not one marketing piece. There's not one letter, one phone call, one text, one door knock that's going to get the deal. Consistency and follow-up is the name of the game, just like anything else in real estate. Just because petitioners are motivated to sell doesn't mean the rules don't apply. You still got to follow up. You still got to check in. You still got to deliver value. You still got to be of service. You still have to do all of that. And the rules apply across the entire spectrum of real estate and the entire spectrum of any sales job, which is 86% of your closes happens between the 7th and the 12th contact. So in your case, a close might be a close for an appointment, right? That's your first close. So most agents, from what I can see, they give up after the 4th or 5th contact and they start looking for new leads. Well, guess what? If you're one of those few agents that keep persisting, you have less clutter and less competition when you go through the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th contact. And I wish, I don't know if Deborah's here, Deborah Wiley. I love having her here because she's one of our veterans. She's been with us for 8 years. And one of my favorite stories of hers is she gets a call, and she gets calls all the time. She sends out letters. Her rhythm is 4 mailers, 1 call, 4 letters, 4 mailers, 1 call. She's 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1. That's her rhythm. You guys could do 4 calls, 1 letter, whatever you want to do, but she has a rhythm. And she gets a call and they start chatting and she sees who it is. And the lady on the phone says, yeah, hey, I just got that postcard you sent me. And the back of her mind, Deborah's saying, yeah, I've only sent you 12, but this is the one you're calling me on, right? So you never know. You never know. Let's see here. Barbara is asking a great question. Do you happen to have average response rates from direct mail? Would 3% be reasonable? 3% would be outstanding. 3% would be amazing if you got that. If you get that, keep doing what you're doing. Standard is usually around 1 to 2%, 1.5 to 2%, which is again why you got to keep at it, right? And the more outstanding you can send it, like it stands out, not as an outstanding like amazing, but like it stands out maybe by size, by color, by shape, the more chance you have of being opened. One of the things that Brad Brinkman does, you guys know Brad, right? He's a real estate agent like you guys. He's on the UPLC masterclass calls on Thursdays. He's there neck to neck with you guys, shoulder to shoulder, I should say, not neck to neck, shoulder to shoulder, neck deep in it. That's what I try to say. Neck to neck is something else going on. I don't know what that's about, but he's in there doing this with you guys, right? And he has a really unique way of marketing, and it works really well. And one of the things that he does, he sends out like these unique mailers. One of them is a planning tube. And he puts his letter in there and sends out the planning tube. So people, it's like this size, and then they pick it out, and then he said, you need to have a plan. What's your plan to settle this thing, right? Another thing is when he's like 10 mailers into it, he sends a little piece of a broken record. And he says, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I really would love to talk to you about your probate. I think the third letter he sends out has 2 little dice in it. And he says, when it comes to setting a estate, you don't want to roll the dice. Small little cute things that just pop out. They stand out, they pop out. So when he calls and he says, hey, it's Brad Brinkman, I'm the one who sent you the dice. I'm the one who sent you the planning tube. Just so you remember who I am. I'm C-Press, right? So obviously those things that cost a little more, but here, Sharon's asking, is the script the same if the PR is the spouse of the decedent? You know, Sharon, I wouldn't get too caught up in like, you use the script as a framework, okay? You have some talking points and you adjust a few things if it's a spouse, obviously. Sometimes they need to sell the place and sometimes they don't. But obviously if it's a spouse and the person, and let's say the husband just passed away, it's only been a few weeks, you know, extra sensitivity is required. You don't know the backstory. You don't know how long the husband had been battling whatever they were going through. It might have been sudden. You don't know. So very, very sensitive white glove approach, right? That goes for all of the calls that you're making if they just filed and the person just passed away, but especially with spouse. I recall when my father passed away 15 years ago, he had taken care of things. We had everything in the trust. But I can imagine like if my mom started getting calls, you know, within a few weeks of having to, if we had filed probate, it would have been different. It would have been, you know, challenging. So put yourself in their shoes if you know you're calling on a spouse, especially if you're married, think it through. Like, what would I feel like if I got that call? Dan is saying this may not be the right forum. When someone signs up for the ebook, we get notification. Do we get notification on the follow-up emails? Dan, this is usually a UPLC question, but yeah, you just get notified on the initial sign up. And then you have that schedule of when what gets sent out. And then based on when they opted in, you can see when they get the next emails. It's usually once a week. Dana is asking, how do I use my new website to the best advantage? I'm in Clark County, Nevada. So that in general, when you using, whether you use a UPLC site, which is I think what Dana is referring to, or if you're referring to your own website, just remember that whatever site you're using, when you send people to your site, don't send them to your general site. Don't send them to like www.rogerderusio.com. Send it to, obviously don't send it to his website, but like your website, and then / whatever your probate section is. Make sure that you send them specifically to solve the problem that you're talking about in your emails, in your text message, in your letters, right? You don't want to send them, you don't want to speak to a specific problem in the letters that gets their attention and like, yes, let me go to the site and whatever you want them to do. And then they go to your site, and now they have to look around for the resource that you promised them. And same thing with text follow-ups, same thing with anything. Like if you're sending them to a website, make sure you send them there for a reason and they can get whatever they need right away. So if you're talking about the new website, which is the UPLC site, there's inside, I'm not going to cover too much here because we have that on Thursdays, but I'll tell you briefly, inside your training portal, there's 7 different scripts and ways you can promote your site and how you can include it in everything that you do. it's basically, it's easy. It's just insert whatever you're doing right now, insert your site into that, and it's gonna blossom accordingly. Jennifer's asking, how do we sign up for the masterclass? So the UPLC masterclasses are on Thursdays. If you're a UPLC member, which is the marketing program done for you, you have access to that. Jennifer, if you're interested, just email support@MTI Education, and we can send you a link. Janet, do you have a question? Janet Palacio?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
That's okay, no problem. Not a problem. Okay. Let's see. Has just by show of hands or in the actually not by show of hands, just in the chat, what's been your number one avenue for contacting petitioners this year this far? What have you been doing most consistently? Phone calls, letters, door knocks, text? Just put in the chat. What have you been doing? Direct mail, okay? Phone call, letters, and timeline, okay? Sending letters, okay. Handwritten notes. Charmaine, what do you put in your handwritten note cards?
I modified the granny letter.
Okay,
I tweaked it so it's just coming from me to them, directly to them. So it fits, I handwrite it and it fits on my note card here.
okay. And then what kind of card is that?
I get these at the dollar store and then I print
Okay,
basic information down there, but the probate right here. Where is it?
okay.
Right there.
Is there anything on the front?
So that prints on the inside. And I just
Okay.
write my note.
Okay, so there's nothing on the front
Oh,
of the
it's
postcard? Oh, okay, got you. So it's personalized. It's okay, nice.
no, it is. It's well, here's one I just did. So I just said I handwrite it
okay,
and then the card, and then it's just a handwritten note inside.
okay. No, it's very nice.
And then
And what kind of responses are you getting to those?
well, so I really didn't do a lot last year. So far, nothing yet. I have to follow up with the calls.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And
Good.
or sending out. I like the when you said Deborah does the 4-1.
Yeah,
I like that. And then I have my book that Molly had said to do, so we can schedule
yeah,
where we're going.
perfect.
So that's what I'm doing this year.
Great, very good. Keep up the good work. So for those of you that are doing mailers, just put in the chat again, like how many mailers have you sent out this year so far? $500 a month, that's good. Okay. 200 a month, that's good. 500. 160, okay, good. There's good action there. Okay, haven't done any yet, good on, good for you. Plan on doing it. Elaine is saying, I'll start with a phone call, text. When I reach someone, I will send a thank you note. Okay, that's good. That's a good strategy too. Yeah, if you don't have a budget for mailers, then use mailers sparingly. But like kind of like what Elaine said is, you can. And Brad, this was one of his favorite ways when he started out. He would just follow up with a thank you note after a phone call. All right. Kenneth is asking, how's response for emails to PR or attorney? Kenneth, you want to elaborate on that? What do you mean? Was it response rate or?
Yeah, I'm looking to see if that's a way to go other than direct mail. I just had a VA actually go through my list and find me emails and phone numbers for the PRs or for the attorneys, and I want to start marketing to them, and of course try and enhance my direct mail, but also cut down on costs by sending emails or just circle prospecting.
Yeah. And are you doing that to attorneys and PRs I didn't catch
Yeah,
that.
that's my plan. My plan is to start doing that. I literally had that list just completed this weekend, and I'm trying to, go in the right direction. I just opened
Yeah.
up a constant contact, account so that I can start putting them like on a regular email, maybe weekly or something.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Roger is a big fan of attorneys. He loves working with those guys. What do you do, Roger? You just send letters out every other week or once a month? How do you do that? You gotta unmute yourself. There you
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Emails to attorneys is a waste of time. I have spent a lot of time with them, and their phone is just going off and off and off and off, and it tends to irritate them. I would start a card program in what you're trying to do is get name recognition so they'll remember who you are. Most attorneys already have their guy, but they're not always happy with their guy. And that's when your opportunity will come into play. I've been accumulating all the attorneys that are active in probates from ProbateData, because I tried using a mailer company and they only came up with 17 attorneys, which is a waste. But ProbateData, I've got 150 attorneys now that are active in my area.
Mm-hmm.
Work on
That's a good idea. And when you're working with attorneys, just know it's a marathon. It's a long-term game. But once you get in well with them, get in good, and you can get a good referral source for that. And I always like to say this is an addition to your direct mail to petitioners. So if I were starting out, I would starting with getting your first couple of listings, and the best way to get those is by getting in with the PRs, right? And those are the decision makers. Those are the ones you most likely can reach more easily. Just keep following up with them. Once you have a few of those, let's say you've done 5 of those, then every time you close a transaction, I would go back to the attorney on the case and say, hey, thank you so much for your cooperation, send a thank you card or whatever. I'm available to you if you have any other cases that need professional, CPRES assistance, or whatever the case may be. And if it was a challenging case, challenging thing, and you worked it out with them and you were there for them, you want to still send the thank you note, right? So if whenever you close a deal, whenever you get a listing, always introduce yourself to the attorney and start building that long-term relationship. Because when that case is closed, he or she might have another 15 cases piling up. And like Roger said, you always want to stand out. Because I can promise you, whoever they're in with right now, let's say the attorney has an agent that they like working with, that agent is not going to be, I'm assuming, is not going to be as grateful and as in touch, because they're now kind of an autopilot and they just kind of maybe feel entitled, like, oh, this is Bob, he's going to send me all these deals, and every now and then they send him a birthday card. So you never know, but don't make your success depend on someone else's success failing, right? You don't want to wait for someone to fail for you to succeed. That's not a good way to control your financial destiny. So work the petitioners, and then whenever you close a deal, go back to the attorney and get in touch with them. And now, as you're working the petitioners, you have consistent commissions coming in from that. Then you can take some time out and think about the long-term vision of cultivating your attorneys in your area. Like Roger said, ProbateData is a great place for you to find probate attorneys that are active, because there's no such thing as like just a probate attorney, right? There is attorneys that do estate and estate planning, and then every now and then a probate comes in. There's litigation attorneys that'll do I'll tell you, because it's easy money for them, they'll do probate all day long. So what you're looking for are the ones that are active in your market, and you can get that in ProbateData. When we email you the leads, just open up your spreadsheet, you see a list of all the attorneys, you might see some names that come out over and over again. Those are the ones that are active. They're active in their community, they get all the referrals, or they're out there being promoted somehow, or getting referrals from other sources. So you want to plug into that network.
Let me add a note.
Yeah.
Once you start working with an attorney, you're going to find that there are divorces, there are family trust sales. There's all kinds of additional avenues to earn money.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, we were just contacted by someone who said they want to supply us with divorce data. And I said, well, what, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really appeal to me. We could start offering that, but then we'd have to teach everyone how to, you know, talk to divorced people, and that's contentious, and you're in the middle and all that. But to Roger's point, you know, it's out there, you know, if all that goes into the probate court, you know, and we could easily because we have our researchers there anyways, we could easily just step over to the next counter and go to give me all your divorce cases, right? Let's see any more questions here. Someone was asking about this. How we sign up for the masterclass. Okay, that was Jennifer. Scott's asking, Tess is asking, Roger, do you always send the same postcard info to the attorney? Roger, you want to answer that?
No, you need to develop a series. They will develop a mental image of that card, and they will know if you keep sending the same card. So mix it up.
There you go. Oh, here's a good one. Scott is asking, how to best find data from the county records when you live in a restricted info state, as in Michigan? Okay, so Scott, here's what I would do. Oh, Pam and Marcus. Yes, let me just answer Pam and Marcus. PR is the petitioner. That's correct. PR is the personal representative, is the same as petitioner. So how do you best find data in a county or state where you are restricted access, or they don't show the decedent information? Well, you have the decedent name, you have the county where they passed away, you also know when they passed away. So you're going to start from there looking at property tax records. So you can either go to your county and look up property tax records for that county, plug in their name, and then see what comes up. If they have a typical name, it might be a little bit more challenging, but you could also work with your title reps. They can pull information for you as well. So if you have an address that you found from the property tax records, then you can also find information from your title rep and then kind of reverse engineer from there. I know in Arizona, it's very easy. It's very publicly available. And I don't know how it is in Michigan, but that's how we get started. Who's asking this? This is Scott. Scott, so how, what do you currently get in your data right now? What information are you currently getting? You can go ahead and unmute yourself or just put it in the chat.
Hey, John.
Hey.
Well, I just joined in, so I'm just learning this. And as I was watching some information on it, a lot of it was out of my state. It's a different information flow from the county. It seemed very open how to get the data. But here in Michigan, I went to our county sites, and they were very restrictive as to what you can get. And a lot of our county offices have been closed for some time, and presumably will remain that way, at least for 2 more years. And thus getting the data, getting the probate case numbers or any information other than that is extraordinarily difficult. And reaching out to attorneys is a great way, but you have to get through we'll call it the Iron Curtain, to actually get to an attorney, and then find an attorney who knows what they're doing and actually works on probate or trust type stuff. Everyone's a general practitioner for the most part. And if they're not a general practitioner, they're a high-end agent attorney, which is really hard to get a hold of. But once you get a hold of them, they're like golden.
So a couple things.
The information loss cycle.
So a couple ideas that might work for you that I've seen work really well for other agents and that are working in tough counties. Think a little bit broader, right? So think about who else has access to probate besides just the county records and the superior courts. And this could also be if you go to different banks and trust departments. So we had an agent, Hal Cartwell, years ago, who actually just put on a suit and went into banks, and he door knocked banks, and he asked to talk to the trust department, whoever was in charge of that. And he started networking with them, and he said, I specialize in probate. Whenever a probate comes up, because sometimes a bank is named as the petitioner for a probate. So you can get in with that. You also, like, while you're in there, you can start talking about trusts. Sometimes they're named the executor of a trust when things go bad or someone passes away. They just name someone in the bank to become a trust. So that's one thing you can do. You could also go to your county courthouse and go to the, hold on a second. Sometimes they appoint the courthouse, the court itself is appointed as the, not to call public defender, what's the word I'm looking for? They basically become the petitioner because they have no family, no one there, no next of kin.
Okay.
Kind of a sad situation. You can go in there and see how you can start developing relationships there. And then I would use probate data. You know, probate data has a backlog going back, I think for Michigan, a good 2 years. So you can go back there and download old data and then look up the ones that haven't sold yet. There's a training on that. We're having a bug right now that we're fixing this week, hopefully, with CoreLogic. Ever since we integrated with CoreLogic, they've been slow to respond because the demand has been so high, which I find really curious because they feed information to Zillow and we used to get it from Zillow. So we figured if we go directly to the source, it'll be better, but it turns out it's not exactly better. But we should have it fixed this week. But when you can log into ProbateData.com with your account and you can look up cases that were filed a long time ago, but they haven't sold yet. And you can do that for any county for that matter. And also, lastly, I would say go in and just download a bunch of cases from probate data and look up, like what Roger said, look up all the attorneys there and start networking with attorneys. And unfortunately, in places like Michigan or where it's longer, I don't know if they told you it's going to take 2 years before they open up.
Well, based on our governtress, that's what I'm projecting. She's
that's your projection.
We're along that California, New York mental mindset.
Yeah.
When it comes from the state government.
I understand. Okay. So that's your projection. Okay. So hopefully you're wrong.
Yeah. Oh, God, I hope.
Yeah. But I get your point. So I would say, I would think more creatively and also like check in on Facebook, on the Facebook group for CPress and start asking those questions there and kind of network. You'll probably find that you'll find the folks in there super helpful. If they have some ideas to work around this, they'll tell you how to do it.
Okay. I'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Charlotte, go ahead.
Jonathan, yeah, I have a question. Last week when I was prospecting and I called somebody and she said that 3 other people had called her. She didn't know whether her father had owned the property. As I looked it up and turned out she didn't own the property. So I'm curious to know, how often does it happen that because she filed the petition and just put in the last known address of the decedent, how often does that happen that they just put in the last known address, but it's not actually owned by the person?
Yeah.
And of course she wanted me to sell it, of course, but it wasn't owned by him. So I'm just curious, how often does that happen?
It happens from time to time, maybe 10% of the time it happens, maybe 10-12% of the time where they rent a place, they don't own it. Not everyone owns a home, right? Or they live in a place that they don't own, and maybe they own income properties. So 10-15% of the time, roughly around there, it happens that there's no property to be sold, or the house they lived in is not owned by them. So what I would do is look up title and see if it's in dad's name. If it's in dad's name, you can say, well, I have reason to believe that your dad owned the house, so that's the approach I would take. Let's see here. Rochelle is saying, I'm brand new, welcome. I just got my program last week. I've listened to videos for 3 days now. Binge watching, love it. I have a friend that is preparing to go through probate this month in Georgia. She wants to do everything herself. I want to learn as she is going through this process. How can I help her best? You can help her best by focusing on the real estate and staying away from everything else. Be careful that you don't get too involved in learning probate and start giving legal advice when it's not your place. So really just make sure that you don't have to become a legal expert. You just have to become an expert in getting them from here to there. And what is that? They're going through probate. It's difficult. It's challenging. You know some of the key milestones that CPress has taught you. And so you can tell your friends, look, the first 30 days are probably going to be a lot of paperwork. get ready. It's going to be a little overwhelming. You might want to think about getting an attorney. If you need one, I can get someone for you. This is where you refer business to attorneys. Help her with resources, things like that. The other thing you can do is, as she's going through this, she thinks she can do it, but just if she has I don't know if she's married or not, if she has a full-time job, if she's working, if she has kids, just consider like whatever she has going in her life right now, becoming an executor or administrator of someone's estate is not necessarily a full-time job, but it can feel like a full-time job at times because there's a lot of mental energy that goes into in the beginning. So the best way you can help her is by helping her decide what she wants to do with the real estate. Yes? Okay, well, I'm teaching right now. I'll be right there. Thank you. So that's how I would do it. That's how I would do it. Just really focus on what you know best, because I can count on one hand, roughly 5 times how agents got into some serious legal issues and got sued over the last 10 years because they figured, I got to be a legal expert. I got to know all about probate. They start advising when they had no place to be. Petitioner said, I don't need an attorney. I have you. And they're like, yeah, you got me. I can solve everything. And they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to contest certain things. They didn't know how to deal with creditors, came out of the woodwork. That's what an attorney is for, right? So Rochelle, just really know your lane, stay in it, and commit to it. And your friend's going to be much better off. Does that make sense?
Yes,
All
thank
right.
you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Really excited about being in this this space right now. I am a realtor in Georgia too. So you know, I pretty much help her, you know, get all the properties and sell them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Great information.
Yeah, you're most welcome. We're happy to have you here. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, this is it for today. I want to thank you all for showing up, and welcome to all the new folks. And next week, we'll do more of a deep dive into like logging in and doing some data scrubbing, and we'll do a little show and tell on the screen. But thank you for all your great questions. Thank you for participating. I appreciate you. Be well, stay safe, and wash those hands. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.